You're listening to the Good Food CFO podcast, where we focus on financial strategies for building a profitable food business. I'm your host, Sarah Delavan. Today on the podcast, I am sharing my 3-step financial decision-making process. So if you're considering a big financial decision in your good food business, this is the episode for you. Let's get to it. I often get asked my opinion on big financial decisions that food business owners are making, whether they are my client or not. They want to know, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? What would you recommend? And my response is usually to walk them through a 3-step process that I have. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I believe it to be true that every single business is unique, every business situation is unique, and therefore every business decision is going to be unique. So there is no right or wrong answer that will apply to every single good food business. But there is a universal process that all business owners can use to help make financial decisions confidently. So if your goal is to create a sustainable business that minimizes risk and grows profitably, and you're considering a big purchase, a long-term investment or expense, taking on debt, or maybe opening a line of credit, this 3-step process is designed for you. The very first step in the process is to remember your business objectives. What did you set out to achieve this year that will move you closer to your big business goals? Now, if you need a refresher, business objectives are measurable targets that define progress toward your annual goals and in turn move you closer to achieving your big business vision. Creating a clear vision for your business, setting clear goals, and identifying 3, I always recommend 3, measurable objectives that will help you reach those goals is really essential work for good food business owners. This work enables you to focus your attention, your energy, and your money on the actions, the activities, and the investments that will help you achieve your goals and the vision you have for your business, and it will help you identify the things that won't, which is often even more important. If you don't have a clear vision, goals, or objectives for your business, you can check out our episode with Katie Melezova, where we talk a lot about that. And you can also check out our blog at sarah.delavan.com/goodfoodcfo blog. And we've got a couple of articles there to help you through the process. We've also got lots of videos and articles inside the free Profitable Food Business community to support you in setting your vision, creating your goals, and setting your objectives. Once you remember your business objectives and you're very clear on what did we set out to achieve this year, you've got to determine if the investment that you will be making will move you closer to one of those business objectives. So you've got to ask yourself, will this purchase, will this investment, or this debt move me closer to achieving my food business objective? And if the answer is no, then you move on, right? Decision made. It's not going to help me move closer to my objective. Therefore, I shouldn't be focusing my time, my energy, or my money on it. And then ask yourself, what are the things that will move you closer to achieving your objectives? Now, if the answer is yes, then I need you to be honest with yourself and really do the work to identify what problem this financial investment, we'll call it, is going to solve in your business. Because we want to be sure that we are spending money on things that will actually move the needle. In other words, we're spending money to solve real problems instead of the symptoms of a problem that we might be having. Let me frame it for you with an example. Let's say one of your business objectives is to improve profitability, right? That's a big objective. To do this, you have to get to the root of why the symptom of low or no profitability exists in your business. Are your sales too low? Are your costs too high? Is it a combination of both? If you identify that the cause is sales numbers that are too low, right? Let's say you've got bare minimum costs, you're spending just what you need to spend, and your sales are too low. and you want to invest in increasing your sales, you need to ask yourself and your team, if you have one, why are sales low? Low sales is a symptom of something else. Is it a lack of repeat business that is keeping your sales number down? Is it a lack of audience, right? Are your people, your customers are buying over and over again, but you're having a hard time reaching more people to bring in and to turn into customers? Or is there incorrect messaging? Are you hitting a lot of people, but the message isn't resonating with them, right? So maybe wrong audience or wrong message. If you invested in hiring a salesperson or ramping up social media ad spend and marketing for a product with the wrong messaging or the wrong audience, you won't get the results that you desire, right? When you identify the real problem in your business, you can ensure that you are investing in the real solution. So if you've got a messaging or an audience problem, the money that you invest in your business should be on identifying the right target audience and creating the right message. Then you can go about investing time, energy, and money in putting that message out there to the right people, maybe through social media or ad spend, and then grow your sales successfully. As I said, when you identify the real problems in your business, you can ensure that you're investing in real solutions. And if you've determined that this investment will help to solve a true problem in your business and move you toward one of your business objectives, then you can move on to the third step in the process, which is to consider what we call the second order consequences of your decision. Second order consequences are the things that are out of your control. So what we can control is the decisions that we make, but we can't control the outcome of those decisions. This step is incredibly important, and I encourage every single business owner to take the time to consider the possibility of things not turning out exactly as you planned. Now, I want to stop here for a second and say that sometimes we feel like we have to make this big decision and we have to make it quickly and time is of the essence and we're just going to go with our guts. What I have learned about myself, and I can't speak for everyone, but just for myself, is that if I am feeling an emotional response to having to make this decision, I should pump the brakes. I should pump the brakes and I should force myself through this 3-step process and just give myself a couple of days to make sure that it truly is the right decision for me. So this step number 3 is part of the financial decision-making process that most business owners fail to do. As I said, including yours truly in the past, but I've learned to follow my own recommendations here. And when we skip this step, this is when we typically have regrets, encounter financial loss, right? Because we didn't consider that things might not work out exactly as we hope. So when you're faced with a big financial decision and you've made it to step 3 in this process and you're going to be considering what we call those second order consequences, what you're doing is asking yourself 3 questions. Number 1 is, what's the upside, right? So you're going to list out all the things that will be the great benefits, right? If everything goes as planned, here are all the wonderful things that are going to be the result of this investment and this financial decision. Then you're going to ask yourself, what is the downside? In other words, what could go wrong? Now, I recommend that you talk through step number 2 with someone else, preferably someone who is outside of your business, because we want to have an unbiased opinion and an unbiased source of ideas. And I really want you to just sort of spitball these things. What are all the possible things that go wrong? Even if the likelihood of it going wrong is minuscule, list it, put it on a piece of paper. And if you're talking with someone, as I said, who's outside your business, they're not going to be afraid to just throw it all out there for you and create a list of all the possible things that could go wrong. We're seeking someone who will give us the sort of the worst of the worst in this case. Then after we've done that, we want to ask, can I live with, or can my business survive the worst of the downside? So you've got this list of the upside, you've got the list of the downside, which is the things that could go wrong. And if the absolute worst thing goes wrong, could you live with that? And could your business survive if that happened? And if the answer is yes, then move forward. And if the answer is no, really examine that. Really examine the likelihood that that worst case scenario would happen, right? But if you feel very strongly that like, I can't live with this, if this does not work out, then everything is going to close up, right? It might be that your business won't survive, but you might be able to live with that outcome, right? So then for you, it would still be worth making that investment. As entrepreneurs, we are risk takers. We are taking a risk by going out on our own and saying that we can create an income, we can create a product, we can create a service that will benefit others and that will benefit us financially. So there's going to be an element of risk in every decision that you make. The point here is to get crystal clear on how big the risk is and to be really honest with yourself about if the worst case scenario became reality, could you live with the results? Could you live with that outcome? And would your business survive? And if your business wouldn't survive, could you live with that? Would you be okay with that? Maybe you're saying, this is our last stitch effort. This is what we really believe we need to do. This is the problem we need to solve. This is the way to move the company toward achieving our objectives and staying in business. And if that doesn't work and we close up shop, we know that we did everything that we possibly could to make it happen. That may be your answer. Someone else might work through this process and say, I don't know if I could live with that. I don't know that I'm ready to close up this business. I know that this is a risk, but it's too big of a risk. And maybe there's some other way that we can go about trying to achieve our goals, right? It's going to be different for everyone. As I said, the point is to weigh the positives and the negatives, determine if you can live with and afford the downside, and then make a decision based on the information that has been laid out before you. Big financial decisions often feel like they need to be made quickly, and I promise you that thinking through this financial decision checklist and taking your time with the decision-making process will produce a better long-term result. The less your emotions and time play in your decision-making, the better. Additionally, having a profit plan or financial projections is also extremely helpful in this process, because when you're laying out what could go right and what could go wrong, if you've got a profit plan or you've got financial projections, you can actually run various financial scenarios through those spreadsheets, if you will, or Fathom or whatever type of tool you're using to create your budgets and your projections and run scenarios. This can be extremely helpful, especially if you're a visual learner or a visual processor like I am. When someone comes to me with a question like this, we say, what are the upsides? And we run that financial scenario. And then we say, what are the downsides? And we run all of those financial scenarios and we ask the same questions. How do you feel about this? Could you live with the downside? Could you live with the outcomes, right? I hope you found this 3-step process helpful. If you implement it in your business to make a big financial decision, I would love to hear about it. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'd love to know where and when you're listening. So tag us on Instagram, it's #TheGoodFoodCFO, and join us inside the free Profitable Food Business community to share how you're using this 3-step process and how your business is going. We'd love to support you. I will be back with a brand new episode in 2 weeks. I'll see you then.